Good practice today. I think one of the things that strikes me about this group is because of the veteran leadership, they know how to practice in this mode in the spring where we're just in helmets. But I can feel the way that they're getting their work in, they're getting their assignments. It's full speed up until, and they've just been really taking care of each other. So I appreciate that. I haven't really had to address too much in that regard. And then it makes it easier because a lot of the young guys who haven't been in this mode before, they're used to being padded up. They just get to follow their lead. And like I've said before, too, it's the work ethic of guys like Derek Brown. Our best players happen to be our hardest workers. And so it doesn't leave a lot of space for the rest of the group to kind of pick and choose what they're going to do. They just got to go. They got to go hard, and they got to work at it, the individual drills, all that stuff. So anyway, I just wanted to start off with that, just kind of let you know I'm really pleased with that type of chemistry in practice.
Dave, Xavier Leggett didn't practice today.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, just a precaution. I think he's been – what happens a lot with rookies is they come out here, it's a different level of work, and it's not that they haven't practiced this long, but everyone's fast. Everyone's going, and of course they're with their wheels turning. There's a strain on the brain. There's also a strain on the body. And so for him, he just kind of looked a little bit stoved up yesterday. And we just, as a precaution, said we need to pull back a little bit and just make sure we're smart with this at this point, in our program and what we're doing, with our sights on training camp and all that.
Was that just sort of overall leg, or was there a soft tissue, or what?
Yeah, he looked tight, and so yesterday he just had a moment in practice where he started to slow down. The trainers started talking to him immediately. He was like, all right, well, let's not throw him back out there. Let's not just try to rebound. Let's be smart about it at this point. So
Dave, Bryce runs around a little bit after doing, like in between drills and practice.
Yeah.
But to me, it seemed like it was more running by him today. I don't know if that was intentional or not. Did you notice that he was doing that running?
in the drills or in between?
In between, like if,
Yeah.
as they switch fields, he'd like be at the starting line, he'd just race to the other side.
Yeah, it's so athletes first. The quarterbacks, you got to remind them, you guys are athletes first. And so you're going to have to run for your life at times. We need to train that type of sprints, those short bursts somewhere. Because a lot of times when the scramble play happens, and I really try to ask them not to just throw the ball away. I know that there's a time for that, you know, when they're managing the game. But really what happens is, you know, in a game, you're going full speed all of a sudden, and you've been just kind of operating from the pocket or carrying out fakes and things like that. So we have to be able to simulate that type of work. Look at how much mileage everybody else is getting. Well, they're the same. They're athletes first. So that's a big request of mine. And so they kind of take care of that in between routes on air by sprinting those 30 or 40 yards.
Dave, Eddie Pinheiro, any update on communication with him?
Nope, same. You know, just watched Harrison kick today. He did great. He nailed all of his kicks, hit about a 57 or 58 yarder today. So we're doing a great job here.
He hit some rugby kicks as well. Did you notice that?
I did not see that.
From the sideline, going in on that strained ankle.
Yeah, I didn't see some of those, but I'm curious to see what other pitches he has in his arsenal.
To kick yet? Because he hasn't on the days when we've been here.
You know, I think he just likes you guys. So, because I think he's had 2 misses. It was like 1 a day early on, and it was like somewhere in the middle of his kicking sessions, he bounced back and then made the next couple. And I can't, I don't want to discount the fact that his peers matter to him. He's a rookie, he comes out here and everybody's watching. The head coach is sitting there watching, and he's done a great job just being able to handle that kind of pressure, you know. And he looks calm, he looks focused. So he's doing a really good job for us right now.
Jansen yelled out something about a 77-yarder. Was that a punt or a kick? I heard him say the media, here comes the media, and they missed it. He said it was something about a 77-yarder.
I think he's messing with you. I don't know. But
Back to my question.
Yeah.
Speak to the quarterback depth and your first impressions on Smith Wade and the update on Gilmore.
QB depth first?
Quarterback.
Oh, cornerback depth, yeah. Competitive group. You know, we have some guys that are young players that have had a year in the system that I'm excited to see. Deshaun Jameson, DiCaprio Boodle, Lamar Jackson. You know, he's been in here for a couple of years, but in this system, you know, just with the I think he was with the Jero in Denver. I can't quite remember, but I know he's had a little carryover. So I'm really excited to kind of watch that group come together and I think the cool part is the guys that were here last season You can. That's okay. Is that? Am I up? Is that it? I got 45 seconds out. So anyway, about Shaw Smith-Wade. I like this. Let's keep it on a play clock, right? But yeah, so I love that group. I love the just the way that it's coming together, because of just the knowledge of the system is huge. The calls that happen with shifts and motions, and we try to strain them, and they have to be able to communicate. So that's the part where you can see some of the younger guys are starting to learn, starting to get that. Shaw Smith-Wade has been doing a great job. He's a worker. You know, these are to a man, the guys that we drafted, these guys are hard workers and tough football players, and that's what we tried to do is profile those type of guys that fit what we're doing. He fits right in with the group. He's active. He's always working on stuff, jugs after practice. And I just love his focus. He's got a great smile, but then you see like he's just locked in, and he's really interested in what's happening everywhere. So,
Coach, Darius Marshall Jr. hasn't really been able to kind of get his footing with the previous coaching staffs. What are some of the things you've seen from him early on?
Yeah, he's been reliable. He's doing what we're asking him to do. He's running the right routes. You can see that this is a big man with speed in there, and I think that the more comfortable he's getting with our system, with our concepts, the faster he looks. And so, you know, I'm really curious to see where he takes that this year. You know, I know that he's had a couple of years here and really hasn't produced to the potential of what people might think. But hopefully we'll create an environment where he's able to get onto our offense and be able to show us something, you know, especially when we get into more competitive settings.
One of your players, so much was made of your offensive acumen when you came in, and I'm curious how your relationship with Ejiro is building and how much you rely on him considering your background.
Yeah, there's just it started off early in the spring, you know, just going through the first wave of installs. Excuse me. In our self-scout mode, we're just watching our film, and so I was able to sit in with the defensive staff, and I probably saw about 75% of the self-scout. I got pulled to different meetings, but I try to make a point to be in there to just ask questions. I've been curious about how they've gotten to certain adjustments, you know, so it's kind of, you know, without giving too much, it's just one simple call becomes a lot of things based on the formation and the motion of what the offense does. And so that part helps me because we're going to see this scheme a lot. You know, the same way that some of our principles are kind of starting to spread out through the league offensively, the same thing's happening from a defensive standpoint where a lot of teams are playing this scheme. So just being able to pick his brain, Coach Capers, you know, pick his brain as well. And then as we're planning these days, you know, we set a schedule, we set the plays out, but at the same time, it's a daily thing. What do you need to see more of? What gives you problems that you'd like to troubleshoot? And so we've just had a good back and forth, even situationally, you know, 2-minute situations we're getting in walkthrough right now, some of the red zone stuff. So we're just trying to sprinkle in different situational ball and then trying to really hone in on issue plays. This pressure is an issue for our protection. This pass concept is an issue for the defense, and making sure that we sprinkle those in throughout the day so we can troubleshoot.
I'm sorry, really quick. Did you get a chance to self-scout the Tampa Bay games from last year, and was that maybe a unique experience for you to kind of see yourself on the other side of it?
I have, and I can't say that we did a full workup on the offense, but where it's happened naturally is as we put in a new offense, a lot of the examples we're showing are from Tampa. They are from Seattle, from years past, because we just have, you know, 10 years of different concepts being run against different defenses. So it's happened a little bit by default, and it's kind of, I think it's been an advantage just to be able to have it fresh. And even last year to kind of see the growth of the system, where we didn't start, you know, game one in Tampa with the whole system. We had to kind of become something, and then we started to get a rhythm later in the year. So that part's been good too, to just show the guys it's going to take time, and we will figure out what works for us.
One of your players said that this offense is perfect for a tight end. Kind of describe what that means to you.
Yeah, so I think it's tight end friendly. We don't ask our tight ends to really be dominant blockers at the point of attack on runs a lot. We will ask them at times, but within our system, we use their skill sets, and we're looking for tight ends with versatility. We're not necessarily looking for that big 270-pound mauler type of tight end, although those guys are awesome and they have a place in this league. But if you have a smaller guy who's more of a route runner and he's a little bit crafty, then at the run you can slide him back and block a defensive end on the backside. You can send him up away from a defensive end, in or out, depending on where his alignment is. And so that allows him to get better matchups in blocking. Linebackers, safeties, sometimes corners, that then becomes our advantage. So that part of it's really friendly for the tight ends. And then just within the scheme, because we throw a lot of play actions, the tight ends are involved in different ways. Just getting them in the flat, dragging them underneath the linebackers. The ball finds those guys a lot because we ask them to block, and then all of a sudden they're bluffing the linebacker, and they show up on the other side. Tommy had a great example of that today. We're pulling to one side. He ends up all the way on the other side of the defense because they have to fit their gaps. So I think that's probably what they're talking about, and we love using our tight ends that way, sometimes 3 tight ends, in different sets.
The Jets head coach announced plans for a joint practice. How did that come about? What's your relationship with him?
Robert Saleh and I were quality control coaches together with the Seahawks. We were together for Super Bowl 48, and then he left shortly after that. So we have about a 13 or 14 year relationship, and we were able to practice with them last year in Tampa, and so we just kind of talked about doing that again. It's a great advantage for us because we play so much 5-man front type of defense, and so he's more the traditional 4-3 defense. We need that work. They ask their defensive ends, their tackles, to play aggressively up the line of scrimmage, and so that's a lot different than the way we play our 2-gap systems where guys are kind of keeping their shoulders square and staying in gaps. So we need the different part of that rush. It feels totally different to the offensive line, the running backs, and the way we do that. So I can't wait to do that. And then our relationship, of course, will just allow us to make sure we can kind of de-escalate any type of situations that might start to arise there, where we can shift and really, take care of it that way.
Dave, obviously it's going to be a little bit before you guys are in pads and doing contact things. What can you learn about an offensive line this time of year and kind of how they're progressing, specifically with Ickey?
Yeah, so communication, first and foremost, we got to talk. And it starts with the center, goes out to the guards, out to the tackles. The tackles have to talk to the tight ends with the different protections and runs. So it's communication first and foremost. If it's quiet, it's wrong. The guy should be chattering the whole time, making adjustments and things like that. And then on top of that, just the premium of the type of individual drill work that we get, footwork, hand placement, pad level, all of those things, working different types of combos. So there's really a lot to take away from. At this point in guys' careers, the padded practices are for the game conditioning. We're not worried about our guys being able to play in pads. They can all play tackle football now, so those, I just kind of remind our guys, we need to be able to practice in this mode with intentionality, where we can't say, well, now I'll turn it on now that we have pads. Guys, no, we have to be great with our technique even while we don't have our pads on. I think that's kind of, hopefully that answers the question a little bit.
Sorry. The last one. With Ickey, you have a young developing player who struggled last year and plays a position that is under a lot of scrutiny.
Yeah.
How do you kind of help coach him up heading into this year, your first year with him?
It's a great system for tackles. We run the ball. We throw play action passes, which engages as a run first, gives them a little chance to get their hands on a guy and be physical. We run boots. Okay, our keeper game, where the line is really just selling a run the opposite way. And then in our pass game, the basis of it is to get the ball out quickly. When we do have to hold it, we'll try to help our tackles as much as possible when we can. Sometimes we can't. We got to call that player into protection at times. But it's a really friendly offense for tackles. We know when it becomes a passing game, the advantage is for the rushers. And that's where we at times, we ask the tackles to hold up here. But then there's also that it's the war of attrition, right? It's like both guys are starting to get a little bit tired, and so it evens the playing field out. But I think Ickey has been doing a great job. What does he do best? He is a mauler, and we're going to run the ball. And I think when guys are able to just be aggressive and play to their nature, it gives them a lot of confidence in everything else that they do. So I'm excited about where he's at and what we're going to be doing this year with him.